Hey, it's the nerdy sports fan, and we're talking roster moves. So the draft's done, and now NFL teams are going to start their kind of morbid work of going through their rosters and seeing who they can get rid of. And, the Falcons are tight up against the cap. Right now, they're over it. They have to get under it. They're going to, though. You're at full preseason roster size right now. And not all of these guys are going to count against your eventual salary cap. It's just the game day roster people that are going to count. But that being said, there are moves that absolutely need to be made. You also have to consider that a lot of players are going to need extensions in the coming future. So you want to prepare for that by making sure your financial house is in order now. You're going to want to make sure Calvin Ridley stays in house, things like that. Well, for my money, there's one and only one plainly obvious move that is almost certain to happen in Atlanta. With the drafting of Matt Hennessy, as much as I think he's overdrafted at that position, and there's at least one center that I like a heck of a lot better in the draft that was still available at that point. His drafting in the third round heralds the end of the Alex Mack era in Atlanta. Now, Alex Mack is still a solid player, okay? He's done very good things for Atlanta in the time that he's come from Cleveland. So the issues here are he makes $9 million a year, and he's a free agent anyway coming in 2021. Currently, the Falcons are about $8.5 million over the cap. So one roster move, makes it so your financial house is in order completely. And then the rest of the normal roster size cuts just create cap space. Cap space that by league rules actually rolls over and gives you more cap space the next year. That is a tasty proposition for a team that in all likelihood will be changing front office members, including the coach, in the coming season. I just do not see in the cards, with what's gone on in Tampa Bay and what's still going on in New Orleans, Atlanta doing a damn thing as far as the playoffs go this year. So that being considered, Dan Quinn and Dimitroff might finally get the axe that they've deserved for, 2 seasons now? So creating a salary cap cushion is a smart thing for ownership to kind of push. So Alex Mack getting the boot makes way too much sense to me. Throw Keanu Neal in there too. Keanu Neal is a whatever kind of safety, and both of these guys, their direct replacements were drafted. So, yeah, obviously they're getting the boot. You could also see some contract restructuring going on. So players that don't necessarily have a huge amount of guaranteed money in their contracts, but they have these big balloon deals, you can do a lot of creative things with the contract in order to make it more friendly for the salary cap. A lot of people push the guaranteed salary number into bonus that you're going to get, but by pushing it into the bonus, that remaining salary then averages out over the duration of the contract, which of course includes years that you've already played on. So that really helps salary cap figures. So there's a couple of contracts where there's at least a good chunk that are not guaranteed numbers that you could get into and make some room financially. So Deion Jones, linebacker, making $14 million a year. And Jake Matthews, offensive tackle, making $14 million a year. Both of these guys have a contract number that is less than 60% guaranteed money. So by shifting some of their salary to bonus, yes, it increases the guaranteed money. I get it. But it averages out, and it makes it so that number doesn't hit as hard on the salary cap. So restructuring either or both of those guys might actually be a way to save Alex Mack's career in town. But again, considering Mack had his direct replacement drafted by the team this year, I do still see that he's going to be getting the boot. Outside of those guys, I think the roster is relatively safe. Obviously, they made some additions in free agency. All of those guys are safe. The big offensive names, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, these guys aren't going anywhere. It's the peripheral players that are going to take the hit. And the bottom of the roster, for the most part, is going to get hacked off anyway. But a lot of these veterans, especially as they get older, and in the age range of people like Alex Mack, this happens all the damn time. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me who you think is going to get the X. Tell me what you think's going on in the other clubs. I'm making a few of these videos because there's a handful of teams that are tied up against the cap that have some hard decisions to make. So check out what I'm putting out there for the other teams. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And hit me up on Instagram, and I've got a Patreon going on these days. So fantasy football is the bulk of my content during the regular season. If you need help setting your big board, setting your weekly lineup, I'm your guy. Thanks for watching, guys.